Hi everybody, welcome back at the EUSOBI social media channels. My name is Matthias, I'm running the Paper of the Week series, and today I have the pleasure and honor to once again chat with Karin Dembauer, first author, and Fredrik Strand, senior author of a landmark paper. It is entitled AI for Breast Cancer Detection and Screening Mammography in Sweden, a prospective, population-based, period-reader, non-inferiority study. It's a long title, already containing a lot of the study design. And I think we should talk about this a little more in detail. First of all, welcome Fredrik, welcome Karin. Thanks for taking the time for this longer chat.
Thank you so much.
So give us just a key message why you set up the study and why you think the study is so important in the year 23 and why you just started the study.
So when we started the study, there were no prospective studies. There was plenty of evidence from retrospective studies, but they would only show like the potential of AI. We would not know exactly how it would work in real world. So I think at that time, a prospective trial was really what people needed to see. So that's why we started it. And the way we designed it was that we had the main comparison was to see how AI would pair up with the radiologist compared to having two radiologists in the double reading process. But also, since it's the paired reader study, meaning that each exam was in the study format was reviewed by two radiologists and AI, it would allow us to also explore other ways of implementing this combination of AI and radiologists.
And as well, there is a huge shortage of breast radiologists in Sweden. So now there are only 71 existing breast radiologists and 55 are lacking. So if we could somehow give the opportunity for the radiologists to assess more advanced diagnostics than assessing mostly healthy women, it would be very good for the women.
Okay, so this is a clear rationale. To just sum it up for me and for your audience. So the first one, there was tons of retrospective evidence, which is difficult evidence if you want to implement it into real life. So this is crucial. And second, there's a real need because, if you could replace one radiologist at least by AI, this would be a tremendous advantage. Wonderful. So when did you start with this study?
I think it was in the middle of 2020, if I don't misremember here. And then the study started on April 1st, 2021. And of course, there was a lot of preparations, but like the study design, when it comes to the AI algorithm, we could benefit from the previous study we made in our group where we compared different algorithms. So we already knew at that time, which was like the one we preferred. But I must say they changed all the time. But at that time, we knew which algorithm we preferred. So
yes, and we ended the study period in June 9, 2022. And then we had included 55,581 women. And then we started the calculations.
Which was, I suppose, challenging but tremendously interesting work. But before we go to the results, Karin, let's discuss a little bit more the study design, which makes the study unique. So the title already tells us a lot. I just repeat it for our audience and for me, because I have trouble to remember that. So it's prospective, this is clear, and this is why the evidence is so important. It's population-based, so it's in a clear population. You might highlight that. It's a paired reader study, and this is why it's a little bit different to the Marseille trial, if I'm not mistaken. And it's a non-inferiority study. So population-based, paired reader, non-inferiority study. Might you just explain?
We can take one thing at a time. So, population-based basically means that in Sweden and many other countries as well, of course, we invite a certain, the whole population of women are invited to screening. And for us, we don't, in Sweden, it's rather divided by geographical area. So it's not, for example, as in the US or so, that you have some insurance company that directs you to some institution. But here it's like geographical. So all women in the uptake area of, in this case, St. Göran Hospital, yes, they were invited. And we also got a waiver from the ethical review authority that we did not have to ask for informed consent, because that would have been very difficult, practically challenging, but it would also mean that it would not be fully representative, because it's more likely that certain groups of women would not consent. So we are very happy that we have this population-based approach.
Yes, and the uptake area of St. Göran's Hospital is very diverse. So I think it's representative for Sweden.
And this is, I think, very important. I just stress it because not every one of our listeners will be familiar with that. So this is a really representative sample. It's not just a random sample of, let's say, 1,000 people from everywhere. It's a population representative study in a real world screening setting. I think this is important because your aim was to create evidence that can be used in daily practice. So this was the first. What is a paired reader study? Just quickly, in a nutshell, explain it to our...
Yeah, basically it's the way that when you have radiological exams, that all of the readers that you want to, there are different, you can have different combinations of readers in the real world. You can combine 2 radiologists, you have a single reading radiologist, you can have AI plus 1 radiologist and so on. And to try to capture all of those possibilities, we did a paired reader study where each exam was read by the radiologist, both of the radiologist and AI. And if any one of those 3 flagged it, it continued in the workflow to the consensus discussion. If none of them flagged, the woman got a letter telling her that we did not find any signs of cancer. And then afterwards, we can then see if we would blind out all the cases only found by radiologist 2, that would mean that we would be left with the cases that were found by radiologist 1 and AI. And by that analytical approach, on top of the prospective design, we can then examine all the different combinations of readers.
And I think this is clue, and I just highlight again, we once said it, but I think this is clue in understanding the value of the study, that you just didn't only investigate one approach, but you were able to investigate different approaches, which was, once again, Karen, you just made to summarize, it was AI alone, right? AI plus a reader, and what else?
2 readers. So 2 readers.
Exactly.
In total, they found 250 cancers. AI, one reader found 261 cancer cases, and AI alone found 248 cancer cases. And the advanced cancers were equal between the groups, around 80. So that is also very interesting, I think, that because I often get the question so what kind of cancers did AI find? But AI found the same amount of advanced cancers, over 2 centimeters and or lymph node positive.
This is lovely, and this already hints in our second part of the discussion about the results. But if I may stick back to the agenda, because you guys know the study by heart, I have read it many times, but let's go to the final question, non-inferiority study. Just highlight to us, either you, Frederick, or you, Karin, what is a non-inferiority study?
Basically, you use a non-inferiority study when the aim is to show that this new thing, if it's a medicine or if it's a way of reviewing mammograms, as in our study, it is equally good, so to say, as the current standard of care. So, because the gain here would be that if you pair up AI with a radiologist, you save a whole lot of workload. So it would be enough to say that that way of reviewing mammograms is non-inferior because you already have the gain of the workload reduction. And of course, in a non-inferiority study, you have to also decide how much worse is still non-inferior, so to say. So you have to have a margin of non-inferiority. And in our study was around 15%. And that is something you can always debate. Is that really acceptable or not? But that was the margin that we chose, and that was the margin that then decided how much the study population, how many study individuals we had to include. All right, so altogether you had a huge sample size, around 55,000 women. How many cancers did you detect, and were these exactly the same cancers, or were the different cancers detected? How much was the overlap, etc.? So
the standard of care with 2 radiologists, they detected 250 cancer cases, and AI plus one radiologist detected 261 cancer cases, and AI only detected 248 cancer cases, which was fantastic. And almost the same proportion of advanced cancers were found by the 3 different groups, over 2 centimeter and or lymph node positive cancers, around 80 for each group.
So what we found out was that AI and the radiologist was actually superior. Even though the design was non-inferiority, we found that it was superior to 2 radiologists. And when it comes to AI only, that was non-inferior to 2 radiologists.
But very close.
Yeah, close.
Standard of care.
Both of them were close. Yeah.
Okay, I think these are really important take-homes of this study, which I just would like to repeat once again. So the combination of AI plus a radiologist actually was not only non-inferior, it was even better. I think this is an important take-home. And we're talking here about the numbers of cancers detected, right? If you do a AI only in your study setting, which was again a population-based study, you had a little, how many, you lost 2 or 3, is it correct? If I got it right?
Yes. We lost like 13 cancer cases from AI radiologists. And only 2 from 2 radiologists.
And I mean, this is obviously not the key result, but these cancer cases which you missed, was there any pattern, or was it just a random sort of biology? Was there?
We didn't. I mean, the study is not powered enough to detect small.
That's sure. Yeah.
We don't see any obvious pattern when we looked at the numbers. And when it comes to this, as Karin said, the invasive cancers that were either larger than 2 centimeters and or lymph node positive, which we should definitely not miss. There was no difference between the 3 different reader combinations.
Yeah, that's clear that this kind of sub-analysis will be underpowered, and this is obviously beyond this primary analysis. It would be interesting anyway to know. But this is amazing. So the target group, which you never should miss, was more or less identical, plus you detected more cancers. So to make a long story short, what now?
When we got this very good results, we thought that it's not right to not implement it clinically, since it's the results are better than the standard of care. So we started the implementation process in end of 2022.
Oh, okay. So almost 1 year now.
And then it was some challenges. The agreement with the region, who is deciding what to do with in the Stockholm-Gotland region, they had to say yes, because it was said that there should be 2 readers assessing screening mammograms. But then the head of the region said that, well, it's okay to say that AI is 1 reader. It must not be a human reader. And then we really had to have like robust IT systems, and it took some while. And then the agreement with the commercial AI algorithm took some while too. But eventually we were off and up and running in June.
So you actually translated your prospective evidence already in your clinical practice. So talk about implementation, because this is exactly what everyone now talks about, what we talked about in Valencia just a week ago, right? So you have like first users experience, like all the questions, like how I do it, infrastructure, reimbursement, legal aspect, all this kind of stuff.
I can start with my colleagues. When we first introduced the algorithm in the study, they were quite reluctant, because we have a heavy workload, and they said, well, Karin, do we really need to do this as an extra thing? But then I was pepping them and saying that, oh, we should do it. And then they got to know the AI algorithm, and we realized that the algorithm finds other cancers than we can see with our eyes. So all of us were more humble. So that was a process. And the recall rates were higher in the beginning of the study period. Then they were back to normal, around 2.5%. And after the study was ended and until we implemented the algorithm, we could use it. So we really know our algorithm. And I think that's a very important key fact, to know how it works. So when we started in June this year, we were used to it. So it was no difference from having double reading into single reading. And we are 10 doctors, and we are all experienced. So it was secure to start off with a single reading and AI. Somehow we have always had like long queues and like well, really long queues, and waiting times up to 4 to 5 or 6 weeks. But now in August, somehow we don't have any queues, and I think the implementation has some things to do with that. And I'm very happy for that, because I know that in the queues we have cancers.
Would you just quickly highlight the issue of recalls? Because you said at the beginning there was an issue, now we kind of manage it. What's your secret?
Yes, in the beginning, the recall rates were around 3.5 to 4%. And that is a big no-no, not over 3% in Sweden. But now it's around 2.5%. And the big difference from double reading to single reading with AI and one radiologist is that we have more consensus discussions, for sure.
And I would also like to mention this, that in the upcoming RSNA, we have an abstract that will be presented, oral presentation, I think, where we also compare how likely the radiologists were to recall cases, depending on if they were like initially flagged by a radiologist or AI and so on. And we see there's a big discrepancy in the tendency to recall, but also in the PPV of the ones that are recalled. So it seems that radiologists at the moment are underestimating kind of the power of AI. So they're undercalling AI findings and overcalling radiologist findings is what we can see there. But so that is something that you can also learn over time, I think. So it will take some time for radiologists to get used to it, to kind of understand when AI is flagging it is false positive and when it is not.
So I would say if I have a case where the AI score is high, around 80 or 90 from 0 to 100, and the woman has like tricky breast tissue, and I cannot explain why it is high because with the prior images, then actually I think we should recall a larger proportion than we do today and make a targeted ultrasound.
So basically, it's like we may approach it like a new modality, if you wish, and you have a learning curve how to correctly implement it. Interestingly, like usually, if you got a new technology, you're kind of overcautious. But if I got you right, Frederick, in your data, it's kind of the opposite. Is this correct? That you are. This is interesting. This has to be explored. We're excited to listen to this talk. I think this is very important. So just an interim wrap up. So you travel a long journey from the study, from the design, which we explained, to the results, which basically proved what you expected. You even surpassed your experience. And so you're already doing this in your clinical practice, already having the benefit of a reduced queue. And this most likely will already now provide better patient care because everyone gets an appointment and you already have new insights. So one final question I'd like to discuss, which is always brought up by the critical persons. Tough question, probably. What about this, like insurance kind of stuff? So how you handle this thing? So in the old days, you would have like 2 radiologists in charge. So if you now have like a false negative and it comes back, and how do you approach this aspect?
Yes, I mean, we have always had like false negatives in a way. We have about 30% interval cancer in Sweden with our biannual screening program. So we've always had that. But of course, now it will become more apparent that there was a mistake done, I guess, because I think the major kind of concern is perhaps not that AI plus the radiologist would miss something, but that it would probably be possible to also send exams to a like a second opinion service. So regardless of it was radiologist only or AI and so on, a third party, like a second opinion service using AI, can demonstrate here, there is a cancer here that is clearly highlighted in the image. And then that might be more of a kind of legal evidence, so to say. And it's really hard to prove that that was like missed why it was missed, so to say. It's like, it's reasonable. We know, everybody in screening knows that you cannot detect everything, because that would mean you would almost have to recall everybody also, or like very too many. So I think this might become more of an issue, but mostly because there will be kind of second opinion services. I would think, at least.
Yes, and now with the AI algorithm, you can always look back and see which score was it and which area was it. Before, with two radiologists, we knew that her examination, it was discussed in the consensus discussion, but we don't know which area it was. So that is could be tricky.
Yeah, that's true as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super smart. I got that point, and I completely agree with you, Frederick. It's probably more on this, second opinion stage, but amazing. I think we could talk here for hours, but you guys are now enjoying a week off, well deserved after a tough conference. So I think it's time for a wrap up. And at the end of our chats, I usually ask my guests, so our guest, for like a personal message or two in your case to our listeners, like a personal, wrap up note.
This is a process where we go from research to implementation quite fast. And I think it's wonderful that it's doable. But we have to keep all the analysis correct, of course, during the journey.
My message would be, like, right now, I think there is evidence that AI can work in these settings that we have seen in the studies. And I think you should try it in your breast screening department, but require from the vendors that their algorithm has been tested in your type of equipment before, and what are the results of that. And also, going forward, that there is continuous monitoring of the performance, not only the scores that pop out of the AI system, but how it actually discriminates or classifies cancer and healthy, so that we can keep on having the performance that we're happy with today, or even better, and keeping the trust of the women that go to screening. Without that, there is no screening.
Yes, and I would like to add that we have to keep an eye on the false positives too, because that is an issue. We can't have too many.
Okay, these are beautiful take-homes. I particularly like the approach that this is a continuous Q&A process. It's not like we built the ship, now it's on the ocean, and we build the next one. You always have to be a close watch. The more we are grateful that we have people like you guys who are both like experienced screeners, breast imagers, and leading academics who just have paved the way for us in the breast community. With that, I would like to close this wonderful podcast. Thank you very much, Karin 𝕤𝕤𝕖𝕒 and Frederick Strand, for taking your time. This was lovely. I really enjoyed it. And you guys at home, make sure to follow our channels, not to miss one of the upcoming editions about new trends, new papers in breast imaging. Thank you guys. Goodbye.